Did Garlands make you do it?
Still making me do it now. Even after all this time, they're still making us do it.
When we went to DC10, we always went in fancy dress, especially at the opening. I went as Bart Simpson once. I even had a skateboard with me. When I walked in, Guardia Civil, they used to all, I don't know whether they still do that at the opening now. They have like a checkpoint and I was dressed as Bart Simpson with a skateboard, and they literally had my pants down and it was just like, oh my God. We had like the whole family of the Simpsons with us.
Honestly, like when I went to my first nightclub, if I could be a glass collector here, I would just die with happiness. Like, honestly, it was the 051 in Liverpool, and then I started going to Garlands and stuff, and all of a sudden, the people that were my heroes become my mates, and then, do you know what I mean? It progressed like that. So, like, even my job now is my job of my dreams. 3 years ago, I wrote it in my journal and stuff like that.
Hello, Adam.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm fantastic. The first thing I've got to ask you is, did Garlands make you do it?
Still making me do it now. Even after all this time, they're still making us do it.
Unbelievable, because that's kind of where I met you from when you were running Garlands in Ibiza.
I think we met actually the year before. I was working at Coastline.
My Lord.
That was when we first hung out.
We did. What year was that? What year did you arrive in?
2006 was my first year.
2006. Yeah, my God, that was a good year.
Yeah, we had so many people still there. Like Eulalia now still that was the first year.
Yeah. When I started the group, the Ibiza Worker Group, all that time ago, someone put up the question: what was the best year they ever had? 2006 was a real big year of people saying it was just amazing. 2005 was great because we started the shipwrecks and the slut parties, but kind of we had such a great community come in at that time. So many great new faces and old faces and stuff. And obviously, you're connected with Garlands. Were you connected with Garlands in Liverpool then?
No. I worked first for Coastline. And then I got sacked for looking for a new job. For all the things, I got sacked for looking for a new job when he lost the music license, and ended up working with Nathan Viva, selling tickets out of the Golden Gate. I nearly didn't do, because if you were there in 2006, there was quite a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Similar accent to me. And so I was like, I don't know whether to take this job or not, because I don't want to get caught in a crossfire or something.
Yeah. I remember that was quite a fiery year, wasn't it? A lot of things happened on that West End, yeah.
Yeah, so I nearly didn't take the job, and that because Nathan was also the PR manager for Eden then. I think
that's right, he was, wasn't he? Yeah.
And so I did that, and that was the job that got me the job for Garlands eventually.
That's a really coincidence, a big coincidence, because I'm speaking to him next week about all of his about his journey and about how he's got, I don't know how many businesses now over there, and I lose count with Nathan, to be honest. Yeah, he's great. He gave a lot of people their first opportunity over there.
He really did. Honestly, I was gonna go home. I remember, like, I've been sacked. Can't believe it. I went there on my own when I must have been 19. Got sacked, got mugged, and I was like, I'm not going home. This is me. This is even more reason to stay. And yeah, it worked out all right in the end, I guess.
Yeah, I went out literally by myself. I went out with a guy that I barely knew, and he'd met a girl like the week before we left for Ibiza, and he was just lovesick the whole time. And I come home one day and he was gone. With they said, yeah, he's just gone. He's like, I've got to go. I can't handle it here. You know, I don't think it really fitted him, because I think Ibiza back then, the West End especially, you have to be a certain sort of character to really put up with that and do the whole summer and live there all year round, because it was wild. It was the Wild West End.
Yeah, for sure was.
And
crazy.
were you DJing at all at that point?
I was a DJ, but didn't have any gigs. I think it was the first gig I ever played was in the Orange Corner, and I was
Okay.
like, oh, yeah. And I'm pretty sure I can't remember who it was. I met him when I was PRing, and I was like, oh, I'm a DJ, and he was like, you should just come and play. And that was the first time I ever played in Ibiza. It was the Orange Corner.
I've known enough people who played there. I remember Sean Hughes used to play down there, and another fellow, a Scouse, isn't he? Isn't he Sean? Is he that
But yeah,
way?
from about 10 minutes from the house. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
was a
Always
quite
see him
really
down there.
big Scousers.
and Jamie Gittins, and
Yeah,
I remember seeing Marco Loco probably played there. But yeah, no, it was
everyone.
so
It's good.
what is I'm just about to ask you what your first experience of Ibiza was like then.
Oh, do you know, my actual first ever experience was like, I've been a DJ since I was 12, and I was like, I just need to go and be in Ibiza. Did travel and tourism in school, and I was like, right, I'm gonna go. This is 2005. I'm gonna go and just experience it. And my mum and dad had got me like a timeshare accommodation, and it was the
Hmm.
furthest round the bay you could possibly be. I was meant to come with two girl mates, and they both let me down last minute. Didn't come, and I was like, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna go. It's only for a week. So I went, and I was so far away, and it was like old people. And it was kind of that season. I went straight from Garlands as a clubber in Liverpool, pretty much to the airport, pretty much to space, not a clue. And I was just like, what the fuck's this? But then I think I just went to Pasha every single night, like for the rest of the week. I did, because I didn't know nothing or what to do, and I was on my own. So I just walked right the way around the bay, walked to Mambo, get the bus from Mambo to Pasha, and that was what I did every night. And that
My
was
word, so you
was
really started like without a clue, and now
was
look at you now.
flew, yeah. Now here I am. Uh,
My God, all these years later, and working in one of the best clubs in the world every
yeah,
year. So that is absolutely crazy. So, how many winters have you done in Ibiza now?
we've been here now for 8 years. So we were living in Cala for a while, and we moved over to Santa Eulalia the last 4 years. So it's
Okay,
good. In
there
fact,
seems to be a
there's a lot of old, like, proper seasoned people of, remember Steve Magic? He used to do he was a magician
course
at Mission. He
in
lives about,
shipwrecked.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
he,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
he's a, he lives about 5 minutes away. Just loads of them, loads of the Ibiza veterans that moved to Santa Eulalia.
I've heard that there's been kind of a bit of an exodus of the old lot over to Santa Eulalia. And to be
Yeah,
honest, I can count on one hand how many times I literally went to Santa Eulalia. And it was probably working with Britsat in the winter, putting satellites on someone's roof or something like that. I know I certainly didn't spend a lot of time there. I think I did a few, some lighting gigs with Simon from Aladdin Lighting there. But yeah, Santa Eulalia was well off the radar back then. Yeah.
it's open. That's why, like, now I can go out the house and the restaurants are all open. It's like a normal town now. And, a lot of them have got families now, and it's a bit more family orientated, we find.
Okay. I like doing these podcasts because I'm finding out all this new information.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
I'm still very stuck in the background.
we live like the W's in the next road to us, so there's like really nice hotels and stuff. And to be honest, it's great for when my parents come and visit, because it's just a bit different.
Tell me about your Garlands journey then in Ibiza. That was absolutely a wild. I mean, it's just an iconic brand with the team behind it, and the early 2000 worker events that they did that I was fortunate enough to be at, and you're probably too young then, and
Yeah,
but it's just iconic. Did you enjoy working there?
yeah. What's super nice, mate, is like we have barbecues now, and uh, obviously remember Huey? It was Dave and Huey. Huey lives here, and he's a close friend, and to hear every time we go for a walk, and obviously Barry Mack's a close friend,
Yeah, yeah.
and, and every time he goes somewhere, like someone will be like, "Oh my God, you worked at Garlands, you did Garlands," and it's like, and even in the One More Time group when it first started, all the chat at those parties, obviously, like you say, I was too young to be there for them, but to be part of that as it even progressed later on was amazing. I remember 2007 when I first started working for them, and it was like you had obviously Judgment, you had Garlands, and you had Pete Tong at the time, and like for us to not have guest DJs and still be one of the top three events was amazing. I remember I was only 22 at the time, and I was like, this is nuts. It was a dream come true.
What was it about Garlands that made it so? It was really brand orientated, and it made it really special.
I think from a clubber's perspective, because I remember going there, obviously in 2006, dressed like a pirate. Like, I think we were all still into fancy dress and stuff then, like with the ship party, the same. Do you know what I mean? We were all keen to go out dressed up, and I think it broke not the monotony, but it broke the cycle of like techno and serious music all the time. With it was funky, it was happy, and it was just a bit of a break. You go to DC10 one day, but then you could go to Garlands the next day, and it broke it up. And obviously, the infamous entertainment team definitely made it a little bit fun, and maybe the punch was good for some people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, tell you what, I mean, I remember the days of literally when we went to DC10, we always went in fancy dress, especially at the opening. Yeah. I went as Bart Simpson once. I even had a skateboard with me. And when I walked in, the old bill, the Guardia Civil, they used to I don't know whether they still do that at the openings now. They have like a checkpoint and they literally strip. So I was dressed as Bart Simpson with a skateboard, and they literally had my pants down and it was just like, oh my God. And it was just so embarrassing. And the whole family, we had like the whole family of the Simpsons with us, and I'm the only one being pulled out. And by the time I got back to San Ann, everybody had found out about it. And it was just, it was I lost my skateboard in DC10. I was devastated. But I've got some photos of it. And then during these podcasts, we're going to be popping up some photos and stuff like that. So I'm going to dig some out of you. From
one. My first post on Facebook is me DJing upstairs in Eden for Garlands.
Okay. I might be tapping you up for those photos.
Yeah. Like a fine wine, we've got better with age, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you could not do the dress up now, could you? You couldn't do the dress up, I suppose. I mean, with Elro,
Elro for sure.
I think do people get dressed up to go to Elro? I mean, it's mainly the staff that do that side of it.
Yeah, I think people end up as part of it because they give them props. But it's not so much like you wouldn't go in fancy dress. I think that it's a bit of a shame that kind of died out, to be honest. I think we've even seen it with the ship party in like the later years. People weren't so keen to get in the fancy dress, were they? Like
social media.
I remember someone going with the story related to me as dressed as a bottle of poppers. What year?
I just remember Smurf went as a condom machine.
Yes,
and then his missus went as a Hoover. And it's absolutely wild times. And so I take it that it was never you're quite entrepreneurial. I know you are. So was it ever your plan to work in music and nightlife? Or
honestly, forever. Like I say, I was a DJ from like 12, 13, and I was like, this is what I want to do. Like that, it wasn't about business or anything. And it was just had to be involved. And honestly, like when I went to my first nightclub at 15, I was like, if I could be a glass collector here, I would just die with happiness. Like honestly, it was the 051 in Liverpool, and then I started going to Garlands and stuff, and all of a sudden the people that were my heroes become my mates, and then do you know what I mean? It progressed like that. So like even my job now is my job of my dreams. 3 years ago, I wrote it in my journal and stuff like that. So
yeah.
It's always has been, and just especially with DJing, I like to think it's like people work all week, they go to a job to come and see you perform, not necessarily even to see you, to come and have a good time, and you're there to give them the best time ever. And I love to see people's faces after that. Do you know what I mean? It's great.
Absolutely. Look, I was really fortunate. I've always been into music since my dad was into the early rave scene and promoting them, and I wanted to do something. That's a lot of the reason why I come to Ibiza, and I worked in Nightlife in this club, and I was a barman in this trance club in Ibiza. I honestly, it was like heaven. I was working in heaven, and so it's exactly the same feeling. But you have that sort of, You read kind of the same books as me, and we're quite similar on that journey. And was there ever like a defining moment when you thought, yeah, this is it, Ibiza's it?
I think from probably the minute we touched down, like definitely, you know what I mean. Like people say, like you can feel it as woo woo as it kind of is. Like there's definitely a pull to the island, even when it's really difficult sometimes. I think.
Yes.
I mean, we've had some amazing times. We've had some really difficult times, and it's just something that's always like it definitely pulls you in. Whether it's the music, whether it I don't know if it's like, again, without being weird, like the vibration. Do you know what I mean? Like it just the set type of people, like you said at the start, the set type of people that Ibiza attracts, and I think it's that it just draws you in every time. So from the minute I got here, obviously went into space, and I was like, wow, this is what a place.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
all of the things that followed in. And actually, I was talking to someone about this today who visited us this weekend. It's the people. It's the people. Like speaking to yourself still now, like 25 years later or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's those people and those friendships and bonds that were made at after parties or shipwrecked or dressed as a condom machine. That I think it's just that. You know, do you know what I mean? It's definitely a certain type of person. I think that's what when I knew.
I was speaking to Jonathan Ulysses. It was a great chat, and we both agreed that we're still in touch, mainly with the people that we connected with in Ibiza. Most of my friends are in Ibiza. I hate having to leave Ibiza. I live in Croatia now. I have a family here, and it makes me laugh when everyone goes stupid things like Croatia is going to be the new Ibiza. And I'm just like, it ain't going to be the new Ibiza. It's not going to touch it. It's got its own vibe. It's got its own thing. But Ibiza has got this incredible magnetism. I don't know whether it's something to do with the ley lines that they say, or
Yeah.
there is something very mysterious about it. And even though all these years later, it has matured into more of a commercial commodity as such, when I go over there, I still have as much fun, and I'm sober, and it's
Yes,
just
yeah.
absolutely
Honestly,
great. Yeah.
yeah. I think about that, like it's just what you make of it. The people that you go out with, the parties that you choose to go to. If you've got a preference, you can still find underground parties that are a certain way.
Absolutely. You can still find the magic. You can still
Yeah,
find the
yeah.
magic there. It
I
is
mean,
here.
like go to Glitterbox on a Sunday, and honestly, people. I remember going to Glitterbox a few years ago for the closing specifically, and I wasn't working. It was 5:30 in the morning, and people in the club room were dancing. I mean, but not like just like grooving. They were dancing, and I was like, "This is amazing!" Like, there's no need for drugs or alcohol for that because it was just so good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, how did you progress? You were like the PR manager from Garlands, weren't you? That was if I remember rightly.
I worked for Nathan, worked really hard. From Nathan, got me working in Liverpool. I was giving out posters and flyers around Liverpool all winter. Then obviously we're coming back. Nathan was still working for Garlands then. So I was typical Barry Mac deal. He was like, so we'll pay for your car and then that'll be your wages, but you can do taxis in it if you want. So, so they, what? But you kind of needed a job then. I think Nathan left maybe 3/4 of the way through the season. And so we kind of picked it up from there. But we were doing boat parties then as well. I don't know if you remember the Garland boats.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. I see another memory just popped up. They were really successful.
Yeah, mate, they were like armadas at one point. It's like
Yeah,
four
like
and five.
two or three. Yeah, three or four going out at the same time,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was 3 times. I remember the first one. I remember this guy jumping in, and he jumped into like 10,000 jellyfish. What? If you just not laugh, crazy, but good time. So, but yeah, so from there, just I was then the PR manager. I was 22. Did that for 3 years. Then had a bit of a hiatus from Ibiza for a few years. Met my wife now, and had a kid, and then we came back as say, we actually came back. The first year we came back was Gatecrasher had taken over Eden
Right. Okay. Yeah.
for that funny year, and we did Bedlam. So Bedlam was the after hours for Garlands in Liverpool.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
did that for the summer, and then year after that, I think we did Esparadis on a Saturday night for a season. And then after that, I moved to Ushuaïa. Leslie, obviously, I went with Leslie and Charlie in.
Yeah. So how did that? So that you were like running, if I remember rightly, again, you were running the Ushuaïa Mark PR scene in San An. Is that correct?
Yeah, the main streets of San An. It was cool. Kept for like 5 years. We did 4 or 5 years.
Bit of sawdust. Honestly, the old school, but and obviously since then you've climbed the ranks through
just after COVID, we switched over. I went in the office. We did a Web3 project for a little bit, and then ended up taking over Hive 4 years ago. So it's been so far.
If you go to a festival nowadays, it's a spectacle. You know, it's just that the standards are so much higher when you go to a festival product or concerts or anything. It's a high there's just everything's changed and gone up a level.
Yeah, I think it's like, should we all be watching old crappy TVs or should we progress? It's exactly. The technology improves, so why wouldn't we? And realistically, if we all stayed the same, we'd be boring then. Do you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, I've done it a million times.
You'd be left behind. You'd be left behind by other destinations as well. There is other destinations that are available. As we just talked about, Croatia's got some incredible venues. Malta's got some really good stuff going on. And there's Dubai and there's all these other places. And if you don't keep on evolving and bringing that tech in and bringing those artists in that are the best, other people have got the opportunity to go elsewhere, whereas before they didn't really, especially because social media shows people what is available elsewhere as well.
It's so the reach is so global now. It's it's massive. There was one guy last year who'd flown from Australia to see Fisher on his own. Like, that's amazing. He in a DJ box with him. Like, that's incredible.
It doesn't surprise me with Fisher at all. I was following Fisher before he blew up. He actually played a set at Hideout Festival, and this is when Jackie was still playing. I think he needed a piss halfway through his set, and Jackie's had to jump in. He was running to the beach stage, and that was the first time I saw Fisher, and he was just like, I don't know him, but he just seemed like a right laugh. And
he is.
Yeah, and I've followed him all the way, and to see him explode, no, I didn't see that coming, but he was just so good on socials, so good. So good, so funny, couldn't give a shit. Remember when he nicked the promoter's car, and he's like driving off with someone's car, and I'm just like, and this is before he was getting like the really, really big tracks out and things like that. So I've been a fan of his for many, many years. I mean, that was coming on to our next question, really. I mean, how important is social media in driving club culture nowadays?
It's crucial, but I actually think rather than saying social media, it's storytelling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, social media is the vehicle, which is super important, and how we reach people, but it's the storytelling and the chance to tell stories. Same with fashion. If you look at any fashion brand now, they're now telling stories, and that's the crucial part of it. I think people just think it's like, oh, just social media, but it's more than that. When you dig a bit deeper as to actually what you're doing.
This is exactly why we're doing this podcast series, because I'm obviously heavily involved in digital media, and it's just, or you post something that's nostalgic or behind the scenes, it gets so much more engagement. And I know with our community, they'd love to know more about you. They'd love to know more about the DJs. They'd love to know about how we put these events on. I thought, do you know what? Let's just do this and see where it goes. And we've done quite a few of these already, and it's already opened my eyes. And I've been speaking to people, and some of their backstories are so fascinating. It's unreal. Like, as I said to you before, Jonathan Ulysses, wow, how he was got the residency at Space. He talked me through the whole thing, and I was just like, huh? And I've known Jonathan all this time and never even knew that. So, I mean, how do you juggle all of this with you've got a new family? Well, you've got a family.
Yeah.
How old's your little one now?
He's not little, he's 13.
Yeah, that's right. How do you juggle family and work time? Do you go out?
On the whole, try, because I like going to bed early.
I know. Me too.
Although I actually get get up and text people who are still in work and make sure everything's fine before they close.
I always nip out the back door. Go, so see you later, Nick. And yeah, no, I'm well out of that sort of game now. What nowadays makes a DJ truly stand out, because it is so saturated. So
Yeah,
what do you think makes?
do you know what though? I think it's not even saturated. It's just the barrier to entry is so much lower. You know what I mean? Like before, you know, all of my friends used to spend all of our Saturdays in record shops and stuff like that.
Yes,
Now,
yeah,
you know, you can be like, oh, Shazam tune, got it, off to the races kind of thing. I think what stands out now for me is always the energy of the DJ. Like, you know, and this is probably from a bit of an old school thing. I think Yusef used to be amazing at this, and he just really have it behind the decks. So I still think that's the same thing now. You can tell when someone's doing something for a job, or when someone's fully just in. Like that. So for me, think it's that. Obviously, they all play great music, but I think the energy that they bring. Like we've got Natasha Diggs plays a lot for Glitterbox, and her energy is just amazing. Patrick Mason, like for the kind of harder stuff, just yeah. So for me, it's all about the energy.
regarding Ibiza itself, how do you think Ibiza has an influence on how music evolves?
Massively. In fact, this is one of the questions I ask DJs all of the time, and I think still now it's you know you've got key moments in like dance music, like the year. You've got AD, you've got Miami, and I think Ibiza is definitely like, you know, that's where the tracks are being broken. Every year there's like you're having like the track of the season.
It's, regarding like the setups that DJs are playing with, a lot more of it's much more immersive and visual now. How important are those elements, do you think, in today's clubbing
I
experience?
I mean, obviously, like the likes of Eric Prydz and Taylor Wilson Anymore and stuff like that. That's the whole show, and that is something to say. Like, you know, people are going to watch a show, but let's not forget we all loved lasers when we were younger. Do you know what I mean? It's just the evolution of lasers and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really true that you just said that. It's just a progression from lasers. You'd be so surprised that we walk into some clubs now to do our events and they haven't got lasers. You're like, what? We've got to bring them in, and that's kind of a regular thing now, because it has evolved so much. And I think with a lot of the music, it's a little bit more darker and rawer, and they don't have that laser type thing. But we're much more uplifting. So, what regarding DJs, have you got any personal favorite DJs that you'd really love to go and listen to?
Who do I love to go and listen to? I think Carlita's always wicked.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many. You know, I'm so lucky that I can just pop in and I can be like, this is great. This like just, you know, you just hearing bangers on bangers. Who else? I mean, DJ Tennis again last year. He was amazing. He played Digitalism, and I was just like, I was like tapping me boss in the DJ booth, like, listen to this. I did honestly. There's been so many. Sometimes it can just be just a set. Dennis Cruz was fantastic last year as well. Just super lucky to see those. And then the harder techno people who were coming through, like Amphisoletiago and stuff like that. You know, we had there's a party called Blackworks that we had on in towards the end of the season last year, and honestly, it was like must have been 165 BPM from the warm up, but holy shit, the energy that the DJs brought was something.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
amazing. So some of them, even it's not necessarily the music I would choose to listen to all the time, but the energy in the room was phenomenal.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of those events coming to Zurcha, in Croatia. Some of these really fast, hard BPM, and it's like, oh my god, you know. But there's no cameras in the air, you know. They're proper.
It's funny.
They're having it.
It's like the new EDM now. Like all of like the younger kids in work absolutely love it, and they're dressed like an underground party.
Yeah,
But some of the remixes are super questionable, but it's like it's entry level stuff, which is great because it brings them onto. It was the same with me. Like, you know, we went from happy hardcore to kind of like to hard dance to then trance to then, and it just got slower then to funky house, and then we progressed from there to just house music.
Absolutely. My friends were
Yeah, crucial.
we were into hardcore, and then we were there for the split between hardcore and a 4-beat and drum and bass. And I remember a lot of my friends really were turned off by the 4-beat, the happy hardcore. And then I went more into the hard house sort of thing, and then it started getting more uplifting house, hard house, and it absolutely evolved from then. But let's move on from music, because you're also, as I say, you got a bit of an entrepreneurial head, and you have Acid 87, which is your fashion brand. How did that come about? When did you start that?
That actually was a funny story. So unfortunately, Garlands got raided one night. I mean, the police came into the safest club in Liverpool, and it was a Thursday night. I was in the office, and there was more police than there was people at the time. It was like 11:20 on a Thursday night, and it was a time when they were doing it to fabric, and they did it. I think they did it to the archers as well, and they put all these stupid sanctions on, and they made us make an amnesty bin. So we had to put like a thing saying like put your drugs in here. So my friend who was the designer at the time, Nathan, so we made a t-shirt with the amnesty bin like pointing upwards though to obviously, and we were like, oh, that's kind of funny. So we started making t-shirts, and that's how we settled on Acid 87. We liked kind of the tagline was like acid rave rebellion. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of like anti what was going on. We loved the whole movement of the early kind of acid house days. So yeah, kind of ended up speaking to Mark Archer from Alternate, and yeah, he wore it on Boiler Room and stuff like that, and then it just kind of got out there. All of a sudden, loads of DJs wearing it. It was great.
Yeah. You've got loads of DJs wearing the Acid 87 stuff, and it's being immersed in the Ibiza scene as well. Has that influenced some of the branding and the design, or is it just? Yeah,
no, 100%. I think it's just the whole scene. It was the whole scene, the impact of Oakenfold stuff coming over here and then going over there, back to the UK and making Shroom and stuff like that. I mean, essentially that was kind of what was kicking it off, and all those stories that we told on Acid 87 from those journeys that, I mean, they've been told countless times, but retelling them and the fashion that came from that, and yeah, that it had a huge impact on it.
I've got a few friends in the fashion industry, and they say how hard it is. What is the biggest challenge that you found with running a clothing brand, especially having your nightlife career as well?
I mean, time is the biggest thing. Time is the most difficult thing, to be honest. It was as we got busier, it's got more difficult. But it was kind of a passion project. It was fun. Does all right, and people. There's nothing better than seeing someone, and it happens all the time in the club, in Ibiza, in your t-shirt. Like honestly, and in fact, the first time I met my now boss, he had one of my t-shirts on. It was in the garden, and I was like, "Oh, mate, that's my t-shirt company." I didn't know who he was. I think that's my t-shirt company. He's like, "Oh yeah," like, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm Tom." Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "No way!" And then we obviously now work together.
That is mad. That's mad. That's a good in that. Is there, and obviously, have you got any exciting projects, things you're involved with, or 2025, or are you a little bit short of time, so to speak?
Definitely short of time, but you were talking about being sober and stuff like that. And kind of just more and more stuff outdoors, to be honest, as I'm going forward into the future. We're all keen runners and cyclists and hikers and stuff now, so actually more to do with that. Reformed characters, spending time.
Are you sober now? How long is it?
It's been since March.
Wow. Okay. Well done. There's more and more of us. All we've battered enough of our brain cells over the years.
But I actually love music, and when I was drinking, it was about like getting wrecked. It wasn't about enjoying the music and actually standing there. Now I stand there, stay up late if I need to, watch the DJ, dance, love the music, leave. I can drive home safely.
Yeah.
So,
safely, yeah, yeah. We used to drive home anyway.
yeah,
When
no,
in the wild days, and I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I cannot believe I wasn't either in
it's
prison
right.
or in or dead, or in a serious accident. I was very. I think a lot. I think a lot of us. I think God or the universe was looking down on many of us throughout that era. Um,
That's
yeah, but yes, still there was. I mean, back in the time that I was living there was still some big accidents and people were hurt, and there's always someone walking around with crutches,
always
and yeah,
niche.
always. And what so in your if anybody's watching this as a budding marketer or DJ or club promoter, what would be the best advice you would give them today? Because it's not the easiest industry to
It's
work
not.
in, is
It's
it?
just I mean, I just always said yes to everything for work. Like for work. I mean,
Me too.
so like even now, I can finish work here on a Friday, travel back to Liverpool, do a Garlands party, travel back at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then be back for Glitterbox on a Sunday, just because I love it. Do you know what I mean? And I've just always done it. And from a DJ perspective, I would play at like bar mitzvahs for like 5 hours to learn how to DJ.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I just said yes to kind of every opportunity. And it seems like there's day, keep knocking on the door, and then eventually you're going to find an open one. So that keep
Absolutely.
going.
I'm a big sayer of yes to a lot of things. And what excites you about the future of Ibiza?
But I think there's also a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people sober now and enjoying the island for more than just the parties. So
Mm.
I'm excited to see how that pans out. I think people are coming and doing the party thing still, and obviously it's crucial to the island, and we all love it. But also balancing it with some, doing something outdoor, which is amazing. Like there's so many races now here, like from cycling to running. Like every other weekend, they just hosted. I think last year the European champion triathlon. Actually, I left high because it was the same weekend as high opening. I left high opening at 12 o'clock in the morning, drove to Santa Eulalia. Like there's all like zombies walking around playing on Bossa. And then I got to Santa Eulalia. Everyone's just in lycra drinking protein shakes. I was like two
Oh,
sides of Ibiza.
I know some of my mates who are proper like painters are now like serious runners, and a couple of them I'd even call them like ultra athletes. You
Yeah, Sean
know,
Hughes, you Ironman.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's sod that. Yeah, no, I've seen Sean do that. I think his missus is also a proper athlete as well.
Yeah,
So do you have any favorite crazy Ibiza stories from your time to share with us? Or is there anything that pops out in your head?
uh, I mean, I was on the run for being Europe's biggest poppers dealer at one point.
Please tell me more.
Well, like you,
It's
you've
creepy.
yeah, you've said a couple of times that I was entrepreneurial. Whilst I was working at the Golden Gate, this girl came up to me and she's like, "Oh, can you get any poppers?" And it's like, "Yeah, funnily enough, I've got 3 bottles of poppers." So we sold them for €90 to her. Then obviously started working in Garlands, which was a gay-friendly venue. It was like, "Well, is it legal?" Yes. So we spoke to the distributor and bought thousands of bottles of it, like thousands. And apparently, in the eyes of the police, it wasn't legal.
I think it was some really weird law, wasn't it? Like there was some chemical inside of that was
Yeah,
illegal.
actually it's the same as the UK. But it was just misuse of it or the wrong labeling or something stupid.
It was just like
Um,
a grey area that
that's where the profits were in the grey area. But
we have that here in Croatia with the balloons now.
balloon, yeah, yeah,
In our particular town, they've outlawed it. They've made a decision, a legal decision, that if you get caught with it, either you get a fine, or you will be, if you're selling it, you'll get in trouble with the police, or if you're at a festival, they'll cut your wristband off.
yeah,
It's pretty serious because they're sick of all
yeah.
the silver
Silver
bottles ending
canisters,
up in
yeah.
the sea, and we're finding them years later, just rusting away, look like little old bullets on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
yeah, and it was exactly the same there. But yeah, I do remember the story behind that. But yeah,
mate, honestly,
that is a one to remember.
it was in national newspapers. It's so bad. I've never been scared in my life. When we're getting back to the Manchester airport, just holding her and crying.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't get in too much trouble though. That's fantastic. So I've got to
Golden.
ask. We always end our podcast with this question. Obviously, it's called One More Tune, the podcast. What would be your one more tune of the night? Just as the world's about to finish.
You
What would
know
you
what?
play?
And actually, it was. You'll know who it was. It was by Kuja Dada, and
Oh,
he
yeah,
used it's
yeah, yeah.
Young Heart Run Free. It was just every time I hear that tune, just love it. Absolutely amazing. So that
Absolutely fantastic. You've answered everything fantastically. It's been great to see you again. I know you're really busy. Thank you for squeezing me in because I know it must be mayhem in your office at the moment. No, thank you very much, my friend. I've really, really enjoyed this. So thank you and good luck with the summer.
thank you, mate. Can't wait to see you.